Check 1, 2. All right, Bonne everybody. Bonne, Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. All right, maybe I'm a little early on that. But anyway, we'll probably have to say that a lot tonight. I'm going to have to play several versions of a song for you tonight. Well, it's actually really only one version, something called La Guillannée. But hello again, everybody. My name's Dennis Stroughmatt. I want to say a big thank you to the St. Genevieve National Park, which, of course, we're right here. This is the Jean-Baptiste Vallier home. And can you get any better tonight on the 31st of December? This is amazing. Of course, it's not going to last long, so we'll have to go. So I have to play the songs fast, but I'll play a lot of French tunes here for you. I'll start off with one. This is I'll have to go back towards Christmas on this one. This is one called Il est né le jeune enfant. I wasn't here last week, so I've got to do this song. Okay, well, so anyway, that first song I did was something called Il est né le jeune enfant. That was actually a song that I learned probably about 1991. I learned that song from, of many songs that I learned was from Ida Portel. And if you're not familiar with the music that I'm performing tonight, how many of y'all have seen me perform before? Okay, about half of you. So the other half, how many of you, the other half that haven't, are you familiar with Illinois French music? No, okay, all right, that's okay. That's why I'm here. So, I'm here to at least, you're going to find out a little bit about it. So essentially, St. Genevieve, Missouri, is a part of the Illinois country. And so when I refer to Illinois French music, I'm talking about the fact that Indiana, what is now the state of Illinois, the state of Indiana, Missouri, even parts of Arkansas, as well as Kentucky, were all part of the Illinois country at one time. And so essentially what you find is all the songs that exist. I'm from the southeastern edge. I live pretty close to the Wabash River, just south of Vincennes, Indiana, which is one of the many French Creole villages in the Illinois country, and it's also one of the older ones as well. Founded, well, it's officially the 1730s, but really the 17 teens that they had been there. And so a lot of the folks that are here, actually in St. Genevieve, historically the French families are related to the French in Vincennes, and
I had great fun last week. I actually performed in Vincennes last week and did the song Guillannée because it was also a traditional song from there. I learned it from Ida Portel in Potosi, Missouri, about 1991. So I'll do another song for you that this is another seasonal song. We're not too far down the road, so we can go ahead and do this one. It's something called Tu viens tu berger, which means, "Oh shepherd, where do you come from?" So anyway, that song "Tu viens tu" is actually, that historically is really the name of the song, but as I said, you know, we're all in the Illinois country. There are slight different variations of songs. And so in Vincennes, the song in Vincennes is the same as it is here, as it was in Cahokia. But over in Old Mines, Missouri, just 40 minutes from here, they added another verse to the song. So they actually don't even call the song "Tu viens tu berger." The way I learned the song, because I also learned this one from Ida Portel, I learned the song as "Quoi vas-tu berger?" Quoi vas-tu? So where are you going, O shepherd? Rather than from where have you come, which is the way everybody else in the Illinois country pronounces it or spells it, basically. And so I learned it as "Quoi vas-tu berger?" So to where are you going, essentially. So this is the other verse that is actually only done in Old Mines, and for people that come from the Old Mines region. But you can't say really that our language or our songs are monolithic in that sense. It's actually very much a living culture between all the areas, and so all the areas have different versions of the song. I actually, I'll do this song. You're going to hear this again tonight. Hopefully you'll hear the Guillannée runners as they come by. But this, I'm going to play the Guillannée for you. This is a song that's actually considered to be one of the oldest, if not the oldest, continued sung song in North America, coming from Normandy. And this is actually a Celtic song. It comes from Brittany and Normandy. And the word itself, Guillannée, is actually two Gaelic words. Well, one Gaelic word, half of it anyway. So it's Breton Gaelic. Half of it is Guy, which means mistletoe. Mistletoe, yeah, like a hunt. So mistletoe, of course, the other half is année. Année. So it's interesting that you see in different areas, though, they'll spell it as Guillannée, Guillannae, and then like in St. Genevieve, it's often spelled Guignole, which doesn't look anything like year, but it's actually pronounced Guillannée. And so you end up getting the word, the half Celtic, half French word. It has different versions as well. I'm not going to go into all the different versions because it just gets too confusing. But I'll do a combined version basically of the Old Mines Prairie de Roche version, which is pretty much the same as the St. Genevieve version. But here's the thing, Vincennes has 2 extra verses that don't exist over here. And so one time I was trying to show some of the people at Old Mines those extra verses, and they were like, "You're confusing us, stop." So anyway, so. When the Guillannée runners come through, I think they will do the benediction at the end, which will go. Nous saluons la compagnie pour de nous excuser, like that. Si on a fait quelque folie, c'est pour nous les ennuyer. And that's the Guillannée. So we have to have the benediction at the end. Like I say, that's a song that actually has, there are probably really about 4 different versions of it that exist in the Illinois country, so it's not really monolithic. So in some cases they change it from like chicken to beef or to pork, you know, when they're talking about meats in the song. And like I say, they actually add a few different verses over in Vincennes. But it's interesting, the verses that they have in Vincennes are actually closer, they're not the same, but they're actually closer to like the way that the Guillannée used to be ran in Detroit, Michigan. And because Detroit is actually 3 rivers, okay? Because Detroit is actually a French name. I know that doesn't sound right, but it is. And so the old Detroit French there's a great connection between them and the Vincennes French. And of course, a lot of the Vincennes French, when the Americans started showing up in the 1780s and 90s, a lot of them were kind of like the French over in Kaskaskia, and they're like, well, there goes the neighborhood and the property values are going down. So they're like, we're heading to Missouri. And so that's how we ended up getting more French over here. So I'll, just some examples of just fiddling styles. I know a lot of times folks will confuse our music with like Cajun music in Louisiana. Our music, our culture is not Cajun music. It's not Cajun culture. Our ancestors did not come from Nova Scotia. Cajuns, the Acadians who were in Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, Prince Edward Island, they ended up in Louisiana and lower Louisiana and became Cajuns that you know as Cajuns today. Whereas our ancestors, for the most part, came directly either from a couple different ways, from Normandy and Brittany, as well as some from Picardy, most heavily, or directly down from Quebec, in some cases from lower Louisiana. But if you go back, they all go back pretty much to northwestern France, which is pretty much, when you think about our architecture here, and you think about some of the language, our language is pretty much tied to northwestern France. And our fiddle style is also very Celtic in nature. And so this is just a good example of a song. I'll have to do this one. This is a song that there was no name for this one when I learned it. I learned this one from Roy Bouyer in Cadet, Missouri. He was a barber, and he had a lot of songs. He was an old French fiddler, and this is one of many that he had no name for. So decided to give it a name. And so we call this one the Kaskaskia Reel, because Kaskaskia didn't have anything named after it. So it goes like this. Like some of the other fiddle players in the area, also play, like say, you might say kind of Celtic inspired. Some people, when they listen to our fiddle tunes, they say, huh, well that sounds kind of old timey, or it sounds similar to bluegrass. sometimes? Well, if you go back far enough on old-time music or bluegrass music, all of it goes, that music goes back to Appalachia. And where did those folks come from? Ancestrally, they came from Scotland and Ireland. They were ethnically Celts. And many of our French who came from Brittany as well as Normandy were Celtic people. And so a lot of the songs come from the same background. And this is another good example. This is a song that, I'll just do a few parts of this one. This is one that I've only found just one part, one snippet of this song. I found in Festus with a family in Festus back in the early 90s. But I found the entire song in its entirety, well, for what we know is entirety, in Vincennes, Indiana. And it's a song called Isabeau se promène, which is essentially a jig. And it's a song called Isabel when a-strolling. And much like many of our ballads that we have, they have terrible endings. Anything that usually sounds really pretty, I'm sorry to tell you, but somebody's going to die. And usually the prettier the song, the higher the body count. And I know that's, this kind of sounds funny, but that's true. And in this case, I actually performed this song years ago. Most of the time I don't perform for French-speaking audiences. And so I usually always have to explain the song. But I didn't explain it. I was in Louisiana at a festival called Festival Acadien. And I was with two other singers, one who was from New Brunswick and one from Louisiana, and we were trying to find a song that we could do similarly, that we could do and show our examples. And they had the exact same song. In their song, it's very similar to ours. It's a story of a young man who falls in love with a girl, and she had dropped a bracelet or a ring or a necklace either in the ocean or a lake or a river. And he eventually tries to recover the ring or the necklace or the bracelet, and in the different areas. And in their areas, the song sounds very, very sad from New Brunswick. It sounds very sad from Louisiana. But the young man recovers the jewelry and he marries the young girl at the end of the song. Well, I'll just play ours for you, and you can tell exactly how the song feels anyway, but I will go ahead and give away the ending, which is the fact that he drowns at the end of the song. And, well, I didn't tell anybody that in Louisiana, and I'm performing for about 250, 300 French-speaking people. I get to the end of the song, and they started throwing things at me. So anyway. Like that. I didn't get to the very end where he drowned. So I tried to spare you of that. So. But that's a good example of the many jigs that we actually have. So we have a lot of jigs that exist in our music. But of course, there's also the pretty ballad. That's, of course, that one sounds very lively. You wouldn't really expect anything to happen to anyone in that song. But this next one, you might. This is a song called La Belle Blondie, is the name of it. And I learned this one from a lady named Annie Paget. She lived in the old mines area, actually kind of closer to the Cannon Mines area. Her kids are actually still around, and it was interesting because they did not learn really to sing any of the songs. And one of the things that had happened in the culture here in Missouri and even in southwestern Illinois is a lot of the French-speaking people did not teach their children how to speak French because they were told that it hindered their children from being able to integrate into society. So for the most part, we've practically lost our French. For those that know me, you know probably much of my story. If you don't know, I had shown up over here soon to be 32 years ago, pretty soon, when I was in college in Southeast Missouri State, and I was led, or basically told by a professor at SEMO, Dr. Frank Nickel, to go to the old mines area that I would find French-speaking people, and pretty much everybody thought that the French language was dead. And I went there mainly because I just wanted to hear it once. And I heard it, and then they invited me to house parties, to bouillon parties, and I started going every week, and then I stayed during the summer with people who spoke the language. And mainly the reason I started hanging around was because I was trying to learn to play the fiddle. I really didn't, to be honest with you, didn't care that much about the language at the time. I was learning some of the songs, and but a lot of the folks that I was learning from, they pretty much kind of set me straight. They're like, well, you know, you might be learning to play these songs and you could sing them because you could mimic them, but you don't actually know what you're saying. And so they started forcing me to learn to speak French. And they did it through food, actually. And so, yeah, I would stay with folks, and if I wanted to be fed, I had to ask in French for things. Well, if you want to eat, unless you want to just eat with your hands, you know, if you want to, you know, it's basically, well, you want a spoon, you want to eat a soup, well, you're going to need a cuillère, you got to have a spoon. If you're going to eat some meat, la viande, well, you're going to need a fourchette. If you want to couper la viande, well, you're going to need a couteau. So you got to have a knife, you know. And so I started learning all these bits of the language, and you have to ask politely. And if I didn't ask politely, they wouldn't give me the utensils to eat with. I had to eat on the floor. And so they kind of used me as a guinea pig. And I learned to speak the language over a 3 to 4 year period. I became fairly fluent in the language. And so I speak essentially Illinois French, but it's old mines, it's St. Genevieve. I also spent time with French speakers in Cahokia, and the very last French speaker, I'd met him many years ago by the name of Percy Clare in Prairie de Roche. And so what I know is that the language, you find these songs, like I said again, while there are differences, everybody's pretty much connected because it is the Illinois country, and our language, although it has idiosyncrasies in different areas, it's still pretty much the same no matter where you go, whether it's in southern Indiana or southern Illinois or southeast Missouri. You find the same words, we have the same animals, you know, so we have the same types of, well, it's a little bit rockier over here than it is in Illinois, so there's a few more words over here for different rocks and pebbles than you find over on the other side of the river. But this song, we get back to this one, because she was very instrumental in my learning to speak the language as well as to sing, and that was Annie Paget. In this song, she had a remarkable ability to remember many, many, many verses to songs. And so this is one, it's called La Belle Blondie, which is the pretty blonde. And it's a story about a young blonde girl who's probably 14 years old who becomes upset with her father, and so she kills him and buries him under the house, right under the porch. So, yeah, Girls out there, don't get any ideas. So anyway, so it goes like this. Oh, by the way, how it ends is actually a guy comes looking for the father in the story because he's going to take him off to war. We think this was a song from the French-Canadian War. And can't find the father. Well, eventually they do, because they ask the Belle Blondie where the father is. He said he's left. And the man says, well, if that's true, then why is his horse still tied up to the tree? And so eventually they figure out that he's buried under the house, and so they hang the Belle Blondie before the end of the song. So, yeah, that's why I say this is a pretty song, but it's a terrible body count. So anyway. C'est la belle blondine, Malheureuna. C'est la belle blondine qui fait une chanson. La chanson commence, la chanson commence, ton père l'a tué. That means buried under the house. Starts coming in, he's actually riding in on a donkey. So, so she's going to get strung up on that tree. Belle Blondie, and I actually one time it's you know, when I learned it from Annie, she'd just told me it was just an old song that, you know, just another example of a ballad. But I didn't know it. Years later, I was actually at a church bazaar over at St. Joachim's in Old Mines, and I was playing, and a lady came up to me talking about her grandmother having sung that song and sang it to her as a lullaby. Yeah, exactly. And I was like, well, did your grandmother ever tell you what was in the song? And she goes, oh no, she just sang it. And I was like, well, that's good. You know, unfortunately, she wasn't there when I was explaining the song, and she had her kids with her, so I felt bad and hoped that she wasn't singing it to her kids. But well, I shouldn't say that. Maybe she should. You know, the song needs to be carried on. And so I'll do maybe one more song for you and just rest my voice for a few minutes, and maybe I can get the sound system back on. And if I can't, we'll just keep doing it the old way. I'll do this one for you. This is y'all can hear me okay, right? Okay. Well, let's do, Doug, we're going to do the Wee Wee No No song, so you got to help.
Wee Wee.
That's right. All right, wait. So this is a song that is hugely a part of the tradition, because tonight officially is the kickoff. I know you're thinking, oh, what? The kickoff for what? Carnival.
Right.
This tonight is officially the kickoff for Carnival in the Illinois country. And in the Illinois country, you're supposed to have parties every weekend. You're supposed to have bouillon parties. Over in Vincennes, they call it fricassé. And generally it'd be a soirée or just a house party. And you're supposed to have them every week. And so 6 days after today, which is 12 days after Christmas, you have the 12th night, okay? Well, next Saturday, and we're going to be doing this at the Arch, we're going to have a 12th afternoon. So the idea is that you would actually have a king's ball, and you would crown kings, actually 3, and who would then take 3 queens, and they would rule through the season of the Carnival until you get to Mardi Gras. Okay, and so I learned this song in Cahokia from the Ducharme family back in the early 90s. I went to a few of the balls that they had there, and some of the old French families there would still sing this song traditionally as a part of the 12th night. And so, and y'all don't understand, some of you probably understand why 3 beans in the cake. Anybody know? 3 kings, that's right. That's right. So it kicks off the Carnival. But this is not a song that only I can do by myself. I have to have everybody participate. So what this song is essentially you have a capitaine who, because this is a drinking song, okay? And so you essentially have a capitaine who is going to ask everybody questions through the song. And the idea is you're drinking while you're singing the song. And so you're going to be asked if the wine is good in the song. And so you say, so the capitaine yells, qu'est-ce que c'est, le vin est bon? All right, there, c'est le vin est bon. And you're going to raise your glass. Whoa, don't do that. And so you're going to raise your glass and you're going to say yes, yes in French, which is, oui, oui. That's right. Now you can say it in standard French if you like, which is oui, oui. The way we say it in the Illinois country is oui, oui. We very relaxed country French. So, well, yeah. You know, it's like saying yeah rather than yes. You say yeah. So, well, you're going to repeat. The capitaine is going to repeat again. It says, "C'est le vin est bon." But actually, the second time, somebody's going to try to take your cup from you, and so you're going to say, no. All right. So they say it the first time is like, "Est-ce que c'est le vin est bon?" Oui. Le vin est bon? No. All right. But if you want to do it with the French accent, you say no. And if you're having trouble, you can just hold your nose. No. All right. No. So, okay. So, there again, I need your help doing this, but I'll show you the form real quickly so you know where the wee-wees and the no-nos happen. All right? So, you'll hear it. Oui, no. So here it goes like this. So let me play it again. It's funny because they do have this song in Cajun country in Louisiana, but they do it very differently. We do it very fast, like this. In Louisiana, they play it like this. C'est fait toi tour le taburon. C'est fait toi tour le taburon. Ça fait brancher, a fait la table. See, it's not the same at all. But a lot of the lyrics are the same, which is interesting. So I think in Louisiana, they just drank way too much. And they can't remember how it goes. So, anyway, so it goes like this. About a 5 or 10 minute break and probably play a few more songs for you up until 8 o'clock. But I know that they have the lighted pathway over here behind the Linden House and between, and I think, do they still have gumbo over at the Bull Juke? I don't know if they do, but they had gumbo over there.
They do.
Right over there.
Okay, so I'll give y'all about 10 minutes. If you do want to get up and stretch yourself, run over there and grab some gumbo or grab something to drink. I'm going to start up again and play some more songs for you in about 10 minutes. All right.
And then I had people there, no more, they come in, because they saw us packing them up, and they're like, you don't have it?
All right. Feeling lucky tonight?
Every night.
Every night?
That's how I can afford my pretty new gowns.
All right, place your bet now.
This is my lucky number.
Lay your bet on your lucky number. First card is dealer's card. 4. Second card.
Oh, okay, well, I'll.
So you did not win and you did not lose. You only lose if you land on the card I draw. So you can either stay your bet or move your bet.
I'll stay my bet.
Right. First card, the other card. Second card, your card. I did not shuffle these very well today.
I didn't win, nor did I
You're safe
lose.
again.
For now, I am.
So what we're playing is Pharaoh. The idea of the game is you can place your bet, and the first card that the dealer pulls over is the losing card or the dealer's card. So if I lay over a 9 and you put your bet on a 9, you lose. So let's say I pulled a 9 and your bet is on a 3, and I lay down a 3, the second card, this isn't a 3, but if I lay down a 3, then you win, so you get to take your bet. It's a very simple game, from the 17th century all the way up to the 19th century to the Wild West. They're playing this game, so it's pretty fun. It's called Pharaoh.
Another round, please.
Another round?
So it's just you, right?
Alrighty. This card done too. First card, dealer card, 4.
Very much.
Next card, a 2.
I'm in between.
Very close. You have quite the luck.
So.
I'm gonna head on.
Losing card was the first card drawn. And
Why
that was
did
a
you
3.
say that and then you curse me immediately after?
So there's no point in drawing the second card. So I will take that bet. Would you care to make
You
another
cursed
bet?
me immediately after.
And what's the
Yes.
pistol for?
In case they
In case
get a little.
they get rowdy and then they run off with this gold.
Place another bet, madame.
Mm. I will do 5.
Or how you like to place 2 bets?
Oh,
You can place multiple bets too,
I'll do 5 and 2.
though it is risky. Alright, first card. It's a 4.
Oh.
Winning card is 5. I take 1. Oh wait, sorry, that is.
That means
yours.
I
I'm
win
sorry.
too.
Nope, that one stays.
Very well. I'm halfway towards new gown now.
Alright.
Maybe I have enough for one shoe.
Care for another turn, or can you? Or would you like to stop?
Let's do another.
First card. Second card. You're safe. The great thing about this game is you can stop. You can pick your bet up and walk away with it after the turn is over with. You don't have to leave it there and continue playing. You can move it, or you can raise it. You can lay multiples down. So it's really a fun game. First card. 6 of diamonds. 5. You're safe.
Let's do another.
Also, the color and suit does not matter. We're only going for the number. First card. Second card. I need to shuffle these better because they're all the same. Turns out good for years. For another turn?
Yes, please.
Hey, if y'all could all hear me, well, I thought my electrical system was coming back on, but it decided not to work again. So it was working for a minute. For about 5 minutes, it was fine. But I was going to take an opportunity to tell you all that if you need bathrooms, they're in the back of the Center for French Colonial Life over here, which is right there. So if anybody needs to find the bathroom, just go around the back, and they have doors there, glass door. I think it's a glass door there, and so you can go there. And so anyway, I can't get out of St. Genevieve without doing the Voyager of San Javier, which is a trip to St. Genevieve. And actually what this song was about the arrival, essentially, you might say historically speaking, this really is kind of an allusion to what really brought the French to Missouri. Most people think it was the fur trade. No, it wasn't. Actually, what really brought the French to Missouri, well, besides the fact that they were looking for a westward passage to the Pacific, besides that, the Great River, they were looking for gold. They didn't find it. I mean, they did find fool's gold, when they got here. And so coming into southeast Missouri, there was a great deal of prospecting that occurred from the early 1700s to the 17 teens. And eventually in 1723, the very first lead mining operations began. They had found iron, they found lead here. And so essentially, lead mine operations began in the old mines area. Part of the reason it's called the old mine, or Les Vieilles Mines. And so Philippe Renault, actually there's an old spot on the map you can find at Renault, which is just across the Mississippi, north of Prairie du Roche. And that was actually where many of the miners stayed during the winter. And so during the spring, summer, and fall, they would be over here working. Well, eventually, I mean, with Kaskaskia, when they would take the lead from the mines, they would bring on the back of pack mules, and they would, of course, if you try to get from over there to over here, it's pretty hilly along the route to get over here. So, but when St. Genevieve was built, they didn't have to go any further, but you still have to go up over those hills. And so this is supposedly a song alluding to those pack mules. And so a lot of people just call this the mule song, but it might be hard to hear since I can't get my sound system going, but it's called a Voyager of San Javier. But if you listen, you'll hear the mules going up the hills and down the hills until they eventually get to St. Genevieve. That's called Voyage of San Javier is the name of the song. And so that essentially is alluding to the mules who had a hard job of bringing the lead from the mines and getting it here to St. Genevieve. Part of what actually made this city was the lead mining operations. So, I will do another song here for you. that this is a song that really is kind of more about St. Louis, historically speaking. It's a song that you find in Cajun country. The first time I went to Louisiana, to Cajun country, I'll be honest with you, I went to a house party and it was the only song I knew. And I thought I knew a lot of French songs, but I didn't know any of them. And of course, when I started playing some of our songs, they were like, "Where are those songs from?" And I told them, I said, "Missouri and Illinois." They're like, "Well, that's impossible. There's no French up there." I was like, "Y'all need to get outside Louisiana." Every now and again, you'll find there's more French, you know. And but anyway, this was the only song I knew when I went to this house party in Carencro, Louisiana. And it's called "Je passais devant ta porte." I learned this song at house parties up here, and it's actually an old Spanish tune. This was an old Spanish guitar concerto that was brought with the, what's that?
I did boo to the
Boo! Boo, the Spanish. So anyway, the Spanish brought this, but it came with the guitars and sheet music. See, that's the thing about St. Genevieve. While a lot of our music is, in a lot of ways, has been passed down and handed down orally, in the early days, you might say, of the late 1700s, early 1800s, many of the people of St. Louis were cultured as Cahokian and St. Genevieve. They could read music, and so music was brought here, classical music, and they brought violas, they brought guitars, violins. How do we know? Because of flatboat manifests. Actually, down at the University of Louisiana at Lafayette, they have in the microfilm, it's probably all been digitized now. I say microfiche and people look at me like I'm crazy. But I'm going back like before they all could we digitize things. But I actually found flatboat manifests and a diary. Yes, many of the French here could read and write in the 1700s. They were literate. And actually, in the manifests, guitars and viols and violins were being shipped up the Mississippi River, along with sheet music. And so this is a song that eventually became a well-known tune in the state of Louisiana, but of course we have it here. And it's, like I said, it's called Je passais devant ta porte. I will play both versions for you. I'll play the more Missouri, Illinois version, the way I learned to play it. And then I'll play the Cajun version for you, which is slightly different. You'll probably hear the difference. And so, but it means in English, I passed in front of your door and you were dead, is the name of it. So you know that it's a pretty song. So. The Guillannée's here in the street if you want to go hear them.
And on the boys in a pretty garden, she's a more devil with him. On swallow man trailer.